Welcome to the Garage Door Heroes podcast. I am your host, Robb Leishman, founder of Legit 5 Garage Door Marketing, and this is the place where garage door dealers become true heroes in their markets and businesses. In each episode, I bring you proven strategies, insider stories, and conversations with industry leaders to help you grow your company, lead your team with confidence, and create the freedom you've been looking for. Because in this business, it's not just about fixing doors, it's about building lives, families, and legacies. Let's get started. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is the 9th episode of the Garage Door Heroes podcast, and we are stoked, pumped today to have a special guest. I've admired Joe for, it's been exactly a year now. I sat down with Joe last year, and he doesn't even remember, I'm sure, because we didn't know each other. I didn't know him. I sat down right next to Joe last year at the vertical track lunch table, and I just plopped down, and it was really cool to hear Joe talk and talk with the other guys at the table, and he was inspiring. And I'm really glad that he accepted my request for him to jump on here. I've watched his podcasts in the past, and I think that he has a ton to offer us in the garage door industry. So I hope everybody's going to take notes and then take action today. Joe is he's the owner of Service MVP, and he is impacted on a global scale the home services industry, specifically plumbing and HVAC and garage doors and electrical. And I think he has a lot to offer. So without further ado, I'm going to let Joe jump in and finish the intro and tell us your journey, Joe.
Well, first of all, Rob, thanks for inviting me here. And definitely, I do remember that time we were at Vertical Track sitting at a lunch table together. And definitely, it was one of the highlights of my day. So thanks so much for making that happen. Thanks for inviting me here. I really appreciate that too. And I do have to make a small correction. My partner Julie Crisara, who is also owner of the company too here, and so she's like, truthfully, I wouldn't be anywhere without the amazing team that we have here at Service MVP. I have to give them all the credit for doing everything that they can do to help me move the legacy of service forward. And they share in their heart I call it the heart of pure motive service. And I'm definitely proud and honored to be part of our team, and definitely to have my team push this initiative forward. Because without my team, I would be nothing. I stand behind my team when it comes to the credit they get for everything they do for us.
I love it. That's great. Mm-hmm. Thanks for that. I'll make a note.
Yeah, not a problem.
Copy that too.
That's okay. You can borrow that one. It's okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So you wanted to know how we got started. What did you want to know? What was the first question?
Yeah. How did you where did you come from? What brings you to where we're at today?
Well, it's a long story. I go back, into the 70s. Back in probably about I started in the business about 1977 in the contracting business, doing service. We did service for. My dad was a plumber. He really never was in business. He was just like a worker in the plumbing business. He was laid off quite a bit. So financially, we always kind of struggled when I was a kid. But as I got into the business, I brought that same kind of struggle financially to my customers. I used to kind of prejudge how much I thought they were going to spend. I tried to always find a way to save them money. And I didn't realize I was, in a way, doing bad customer service, because I was always offering the very minimum of what I could do to try and make the price lower. I was always worried about the price when I was trying to do good quality. And that's, I guess, one of the lessons I learned, is that you can't focus on the price. Like I say, money's not my master. I have to focus on doing better quality regardless of the price. And you can't let your wallet determine how much a customer might spend. I just got to give them the freedom to choose. If you're American and you believe in the freedom of this country, which I think almost everybody still does, no matter what political party you belong to, we all still believe in freedom. The freedom to talk, the freedom to communicate, the freedom to hear, and also the freedom to choose. And I think that's one of the things that I learned in the course. Struggling financially in the mid 80s, I started my own business. One of my clients, as I was about almost $500,000 in debt, $471,000 in debt, going through a divorce and things like that. One of my clients pitied me and said, "Joe, why are you always trying to save people money? Why don't you just show them the better solutions?" And I said, Dave, nobody's going to buy those stuff. And he showed me how to do it. The very first call, I sold like 10 times more than I ever would have sold before. And then I just said, let's just keep trying it. And next thing you know, the premium mid-range economy options saved my life. And I was started in 1991, about $471,000 in debt. By
Wow.
December of 1994, I was debt free because I couldn't get a banker to invest to get me out of debt, but I could get my clients to purchase future services and larger bundles of my services, and they got me out of debt. So my customers invested in my future by buying better solutions for themselves. And then, funny thing is that I got in consulting because my suppliers were like, "How'd you get out of debt? You were so far in debt. We already wrote this off. Like that's the problem we got. You're paying your bill. I told every one of my vendors I want to pay their bill, and it's like, Joe, we already wrote that off like 2 years ago. What are you trying to pay your bill? I said, well, we happy you're paying it, but now we're having a hard time trying to figure out how'd you do this? I said, I just showed one of my clients showed me how to do premium mid-range economy options. I went to some other training like Dale Carnegie on how you connect with people, Stephen Covey about how to take responsibility, Jack Canfield with the success principles and how to connect all the dots from all those best practices and things like that. And Michael Gerber with the E-Myth. I just was like a junkie for personal improvement back in the
Cool.
90s. And then by 2001, I felt like I wrote some books and stuff like that on how to dispatch, do customer service, and all that. And I wasn't even going to try and do sales training. I was just trying to teach people how to operate a business. And I had the business operation like Al Levy does, right? And very similar. And then I realized people said we don't have the money to buy the books, so I had to teach them how to sell it. Similar to Al, but I went further with the sales part of it. And I just stopped selling books and just start teaching people how to sell. And I really didn't teach people how to sell. I teach people how to get their clients to sell themselves. And so 2001, got on the scene and just start going out there and doing stuff. And by 2005, we had a website called contractorselling.com. We've sunsetted that. We changed the name to Service MVP and about 5 years ago, and it's been a very huge success from that standpoint. I've just been very fortunate to gather a lot of great clients. We've counted now over 36,000 people who have taken our training, and
Wow.
I think we've made a major impact on it. We really feel our goal in 5 years is to have 1 million people on our website, Service MVP, because it's ridiculously a very small amount of money to invest in yourself, and everybody can make a difference, even with the free videos. So we feel like we want to have 1 million users and make that kind of an impact on the industry in all verticals. Garage door was one of my favorites because Tommy Mel is one of my best friends, and so are you. So it's one of my favorite verticals, I call it, because truthfully, I understand it. Truthfully, I had to just tell you this personal story. My mom, we didn't have a garage door opener at the time when we were younger, couldn't afford one, and so she wound up closing the garage door, and we had a little puppy named Fluffy. And so I'm not kidding you. She wound up killing our little puppy with the garage door. And I'm like, man, if we
Oh
only had an
no.
opener. My mom, it scarred her. It scarred her mentally for years. That because it was like weird. Our family was coming in from the city of Chicago. We lived in the suburbs, so she shut in
Mhm.
the garage door. And the family, she's waving goodbye to the family, and she shut the door. And unfortunately, she ended the life of our puppy Fluffy, a little white dog, and she was like, oh, a basket case for years of it. She really needed therapy, but she never got it. But truthfully, I was like, man, I never want to see that happen to a pet or animal or something like that. So I think, some special meaning for a garage door. And I looked at it like a garage door opener was like I don't know. I mean, we didn't have one. I think it was a luxury to have an opening system.
Oh yeah.
Now it's of course a given, but so I've seen the metamorphosis over the years of doors and overhead doors and things like that. And one of the things I didn't realize how many great people are in this industry, and Rob,
Right.
and how proud I am to be associated with it now. And I dove into it 100%. So I feel I'm uniquely qualified as sort of a mechanical engineer on how the stuff works and the torsion
Cool.
systems and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a junkie when it comes to the technical part of it. So because I really feel like you can't really sell something you don't believe in, and so if I know what is going wrong with a garage door now, which I learned was some of the main things that happened over my experience with Tommy and other people, I have a passion to help garage door people be successful with this. So I think I can be uniquely qualified to help them.
Great. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that story. Um, and it's not funny. It's just I can remember I've
It's
lifted a
awful, right?
lot. I've lifted a lot of manual garage doors
Hmm.
in my youth before my parents splurged, if you will, for an opener. So I get that. And that's crazy. Well, so that's awesome, and that's an awesome story, and of course, um, you are uniquely qualified, and I think everyone should be paying attention to what we're going to talk about over the next 30 or so minutes. So, one of my favorite points that you have made is kind of was a podcast blip that you did with Julie. And Mandeep and I were on that together, listening intently, where you talked about weathering the storm, or what's going to be coming, and making sure that we are prepared in our team. And I kind of want to just lead off with that. I know you have a million things to talk about, uh, but yeah, I just want to just kind of give you the reins, and if we can talk about. I know I've noticed even today, people are making comments in the garage door industry about things might be slowing down a little bit.
Hmm.
I saw it earlier today that somebody's sales on new installs or replacements are slowing down.
Hmm.
So I think it's on people's mind.
Well, I think the biggest thing we got to remember, Rob, is that the, the universe gives us a gift every single time, no matter what it is. Whether we're slow, we don't have a lot of calls on the board, or things are slowing down, or that there's there's challenges that are given to us. But the challenges that are given to us are something I truly feel that make us stronger. And so if we just skated by and everything was easy, we wouldn't have to work as hard to get better at something, right? So the gap is, and it always has been, the fact that there's a financial reality in the garage door business, that the prices are going up, the cost of business is hard, the training of people is hard, all these things that Tommy is bringing to the industry, and you are bringing to the industry by, bringing more professional things to garage door people. Let's just face it, they cost more money.
Yeah,
Now with that, there's a gap. The gap is how much the things cost to do business in the most professional way, and how much is our ability to communicate, which is probably down here somewhere, right? The
right.
idea is that you have to learn how to communicate beyond what it costs on the price. And that's the gap. We got to bridge that gap and bring these two things together and exceed this. So the ability to communicate at higher value. And so the good news is that when it is slower, or the economy does bring us challenges, it brings us an opportunity to have more time. Because if we're slower, because it's not as many calls as we would get, well, then we have an ability to train ourselves to get better. So that means that we should have additional time to put into the training that's needed, so that when it does get challenging, we know how to overcome those challenges. And then on top of that, it enables us to then, once the economy does have a cycle and comes back up, then it's like, man, this is like shooting fish in a barrel now, because I learned how to do it. If it was so hard to do it when it was slow, now that it's busy, it's easy to do. But the challenge there now is when you don't have time. Now you don't have time to make the prices. You don't get time to connect with clients. So my first thing I'd say on recession proofing, or weather proofing your business, is to always take the time to connect with clients, because that's number one. The additional time we have is to do training, and I think that training should start with training your team how to communicate with clients better and to connect with people. So I would recommend everybody get like the book, by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and even look at some of the Dale Carnegie training courses that are out there that are really good on teaching people the art of connecting with other people. I think it's a lost art. I think a lot of young people today, they're just texting. They're just they're saying one word things. I think people communicate with one or two words, and they think even they don't even say the word anymore. They just give you an acronym like the WD. YM, like, what do you mean? Instead of saying, what do you mean? They just, IDGAF. I love you. I'll leave that to your imagination. But the bottom line is that people don't even, it's like, instead of saying, I know, it's like, IK, it's like, I get it. Some people don't even communicate with full words anymore.
Oh yeah,
So how do you, so number one, I would say, uh, you know, the ability to connect with your client and learn about your client is the basis and fundamental thing that makes every opportunity possible. Opportunities are not possible when we're just, it all comes down to price without that connection. Make sense? So the human connection and the emotional investment we make in our client is something that people recognize, and they can't see or feel it or touch it. But those are the most powerful things in the universe, Rob. The things like electricity, you can't see it. You, you know, you can't see it, but it is powerful. Gravity, you can't see it, but it is powerful. So the things in the universe that are the most powerful are things that we can't see, the intangible things like that. And that connection we have with our clients is probably the most powerful thing that makes all the sales that we get at Service MVP and all the things that you as garage door professionals get easier to do. You know that when you connect with somebody and they like you more, when they look at the prices, they give you kind of a pass on the price, even though they see it's higher and like, wow, I didn't know it cost that much to fix that torsion spring or whatever. But you know what? I believe in this guy. I think he knows what he's talking about. And you know what? He's just a good guy. And that's the kind of people I want to do business with. And they start saying it's worth more money to have a person I can trust in my home rather than somebody I don't like or whatever. Makes sense? Like there's some people, no matter how low the price would be, you wouldn't want to use them because they just don't like them, right? But
Yeah.
if the price is high, if the price is higher but your relationship goes, so number one thing I'd say you got to do is teach your people how to connect and get on a first name basis so that like when you started this business as an owner of the company, there was a reason why everybody knew your name because you started the company. Well, you got to bring that to your team so everybody in your team takes ownership in your company in a way, take a little equity in that creating relationships with customers. And Rob, probably you're on this podcast because you have learned how to create connections with other people. Without that, it wouldn't be a podcast. Does that make sense?
That's right. That's right. But I firmly believe I do everything I can on a daily basis to do what you just said. Creating a connection. Without that, you're no different than the next guy on their list.
If you're not that, then you're like Ted Kaczynski. You're sitting in a cabin in the woods. You're not. There's no connection. You're just like you're like one step away from being a psycho killer because you don't care about people, right? If you don't, so listen. I'll just put it this way: garage doors are worthless without people who use them. And so, if you're focused on the garage door more than you are focused on the people in the home, you're doing a disservice to your customer. It's got to be 50-50. I'm not saying you got to be all Dr. Phil out there and just be
Right.
connecting with people, but there's got to be an element of the connecting 50%, an element of your technical expertise and knowledge about garage doors and how they work and things like that so the client can understand it. But they got to have that sense of trust and respect and support before they can believe that whatever you're trying to charge them is the right price or that you feel competent enough to be the person to buy from. Make sense? So I think in a way you emerge with that connection as the person to do business with. I think that's like the first element I would teach. If I said I had to start with a whole new sales system, like our total immersion system, it always starts with magic moments, which is a way we connect with clients. And I would say I learned a lot of that from the Dale Carnegie training and things like that. You can learn from Service MVP because we teach it too, but it's universally available to people. We just don't realize how important it is that everything we get in life is because of the relationships we have. Does that make sense?
Totally. Totally. That's awesome. Thanks. Thanks.
Uh,
So
Number two, you ready for that one?
yeah, we're ready. We're ready.
Number two is that if you really do make a friend with people and you do make a friendship, you can't hold back. You got to be honest with friends. I said a good friend is not somebody who is always just. There's some friends who come over our house and all they say is nice things. Well, it kind of gets sickening after a while that the person never has anything real to say. It's like, man,
Right.
it's always superficial. He's always really nice. I mean, like, man, it must be nice. Almost irritating that the guy never has anything bad to say, right? And it's like,
Oh yeah.
see, so a good friend, I would say this, to be a good, so number one, make a friend with your client. Take the time to invest in learning how to make friends with people. Number two, be honest with people even when it's not popular. So that's the second part I would teach, which is that, listen, they called you because they think the operator on the wall, it's the button that doesn't work. I think we just need a new button on the wall. And it's like, as a garage door professional, it's like, well, John, we're going to look at the whole system and go over everything here when we do this call. So I'm not just going to replace the button because if I replace the button, and that's the only thing that doesn't work, then we're back to something else. I'm going to have to. I'll start. It will make you won't be good service if I just put something in that's not the right thing. Let me go ahead and look at the entire system and then give you a full report on the garage door and the overhead system. And then I'll look at the rollers, look at the track, look at the panels, look at the hinges, the cables, the track and everything. I'm look at the motor, look at everything. And if I'll give you a full report on the status of the system. And then, if the opener is something you want, I'll make sure I include that in the choices too. But you don't just go with the flow and just do what people want. You have to sometimes be honest with them and say, Joe, I know you want me to just do that. I just want a new opener. I think it's just a motor. And it's like, Joe, I'm going to look at the motor, but I'm going to look at everything else too to see if the new opener will work properly with this. So what I would say is this: honesty means that you got to be willing to create a little friction. And everybody write this down. This is important. Without friction, there is no traction. Without friction, there's no traction. People cannot commit to something unless you have a problem first. So problems are what make solutions possible. I know this sounds really simple, but people forget sometimes and they go right into the solution. They don't even explain the problem right, So you got to create friction in many different ways, but in order to get people to move toward a solution, there has to be a problem first. Like, instead of saying I just want an opener, I say there might be friction. I got to look at the whole system before I start putting an opener in for you, Joe. What's the price on an opener? Well, Joe, it'd be too soon to tell without looking at the garage door system to see what opener would be the right application for your door. So let me do a favor. See, that's friction right there. I'm not just going to give you shoot a price at you right now, because it would be not proper to just shoot a price, because I'm probably going to wind up giving you a high price or a low price. I don't know. We have to look at the system first, and then we need to give you the right price. Now, once you find what you're going to do, you see the torsion spring is broken. You see, you see that the cables are frayed. You see the rollers are two of them are seized or broken. You're like, okay, well, let's be honest now. Am I gonna hide this stuff and he just wants an opener? Am I gonna ignore this stuff, or am I gonna be honest and tell him, Joe, listen, I don't like what I'm seeing. The problems are worse than I thought. You wanted an opener. Unfortunately, if you're asking me to put an opener in with seized rollers and a torsion spring that's broken and the cables that are frayed, I won't be able to put my name on this thing. We'd have to be able to address the other stuff too. As a matter of fact, I would recommend leave the opener like it is and just fix the torsion spring before we do anything. That'd be the number one thing. It'd be malpractice to put an opener in and destroy that new opener with a bad torsion spring without that getting done. Why don't we get the torsion spring done first? That's the most important thing. The cables next, and get that done. The roller after that, and then if we can still get the opener at the end, we'll get the opener. So you got to tell people we're going to reverse the flow of what you want, because the consumer can tell us what they want, but we're the professional. You know what the right thing to do is, and you got to be honest about the right thing, right? And I tell you right now, if you've been doing this for a while, Rob, are you in this business? You actually do garage doors? You ever work on it?
No, nope.
Well, if you did, here's what you'd say. You'd say, you know what? I've already done it the way where I just go with the flow. But I'm going to tell you something, Rob. If you just go with the flow and do what the customer says, you're going to wind up. There's only two things that go with the flow. You know what those two things are, Rob?
What's that?
A dead fish or a turd. That's all you're going to be. So you don't want to be a dead fish or a turd. You want to make sure that you're here because people want your expertise. And that's going to be demonstrated by your ability to get the right sequence of what should be done first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, right? And that's really where the third element comes in, which is the premium, mid-range, and economy choices, right? So if you do think that the torsion spring, the rollers, the cable, and the opener should be replaced, and then you're like, you know what? They got small children. Why don't we get an opener with a camera in it so they can make sure the kids are safe when they come home from school? Let's get a keypad outside there. Let's get a camera in that opener so people can see. Let's get some LED lights and put them in the garage so they can, when he's at the workshop, I can put some LED lights in the garage for him and expand on that a little bit. And there's a lot of solutions you could do, but it's your job as a professional to say, here's what I think would be the best thing for your garage. Not just the door, but everything else we're doing. Make sense here? And try to expand the solutions into something you can actually do for people. And again, that's where if you give people a choice, well, how am I going to give them that choice? I'm going to tell them they're going to buy all this stuff? No. You can say the top package would include everything. The next one down would include the other one. That's something less than that. And these keep going all the way down to, let's just get the torsion spring on the bottom. That's the bottom option type of thing.
Right.
The science of pricing is such that if you offer the premium option with everything in it first, and then you finish with the bottom option, which is the thing they called us for, that they're going to wind up buying the premium options about 89% of the time. and only 10 or 11% going to buy the bottom option. Make sense? So the thing you were selling 100% of the time is what you're offering right now. If you offered better things first and then offered the cheapest thing last, you'd have an 80%. Now, if you offer the cheapest thing first and offer the better things later, you only get a 40% upgrade by doing it that way. If you
Wow.
don't offer any of the premium options or better things, you have a 0% chance of
There we
selling
go.
anything. Makes sense? So that's really the heart of what we teach at Service MVP. We're the masters of creating premium, mid-range, economy choices. As a matter of fact, what I would offer, I have actually a garage door option sheet template. If anybody wants that from me, just email me, or you can text us on our text line and say, I want the garage door option template, and I'll go ahead and give that to you if you want that from me. I can do that for you. So you can text our podium link if you want that. I'm just giving it to you right now, so I don't forget about
Yeah,
doing that later, type of thing. Zoom. Let's see what that is for you.
absolutely.
Get that. But go ahead. Anything else, Rob? What do you think?
Well, oh no, I love it. I love it. And maybe if we could just explore some of that, what those options. Just I know that's in the template, but maybe just what would maybe break it down just a little bit or unpack it just a little bit.
Sure.
What
Yeah.
three
Well, if you
options
want
might
the
look
if you want the template, it's the number is 626 325 0860. At 626-325-0860, and I'll give you an option sheet template for two premium, two mid-range, two economy choices.
like. Nice.
Here's the cool thing about garage doors repair. Now, replacement is a different story. I can go over options on that too. It's a whole different thing. But for repairs, imagine this. The cool element about garage door is that there's about 5 different elements to a garage door that really exist. So it's not as tough as other trades. Like, when you got furnace or AC, there's tons of different things, ductwork and things that are outside the box. But the garage door is a self-enclosed system that has really 5 different elements. One is the actual the electrical opener itself, the motor and the drive system on the opener. 2 is the rollers that glide the thing down the track. 3 is the cables and hardware and hinges that make everything work there. 4 is the control system. You have a control, so whether it's going to be from your car, you got a program in the car, whether it's going to be on the wall on a keyboard, or whether it's on a button on the wall, you got a control system. And then you got the weather stripping as well, weatherproofing on the bottom of the door. And then as well as the things like that. So that's really the 5 elements. So if I were to say to every garage door professional, I would say, well, the top option, because most people who call a garage door company don't maintain a garage door. They just they haven't done anything with it for decades, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, my garage door doesn't work. I don't know what's going on. This is the second opener we burned out now,
Oh
or
wow.
or something like that. I did it myself. I put a new opener in, and this one's burning out now. So I just figured I'd call a professional because
They
that's
do.
what. Well, I get that, John. And then the torsion spring is the other one element of it. So the 5th element is the torsion spring, right? So you got the
Mhm.
torsion, the weather stripping, the opener itself, the rollers, and then the hardware and hinges and things like that, the cables and stuff like that, right? So the cool part about this on garage doors is that the bottom option is just whatever people got wrong. And normally it would be like a torsion system. I call it torsion counterbalance system, I call it,
Right.
which has got a fracture in the torsion spring, right? So that's really one of the most common things that happen with a garage door issue. If the opener's bad, which it could be a bad opener, most likely the torsion system is failed, and that's why the opener did go bad, because of that bad system, right? So basically, I would recommend that always do the bottom options. So I'd say when you're making two premium, two mid-range, two economy, start with the economy first at the bottom to build it, but then present it the opposite way. Present it from the premium option back down. Because so you start with, like, say, the torsion spring at the bottom, then a torsion spring with a 1-year service membership and a 1-year warranty. That would cost a little bit more, and I'm going to probably charge a couple $100 for that service membership. But that'll give you a 1-year warranty with that. Do the torsion spring with whatever you think is next. If you think the rollers are obsolete, or the the cable, and let's say the cable's frayed and it looks like it's going to snap, let's get that cable and hardware package second. So we get that torsion spring first, then the cable and hardware next, and that would have a 2-year service agreement and 2-year warranty. And then you'd say, let's go from the cable and the torsion spring. What else are we going to look at? Well, the opener is, it's ancient or whatever, or it does not exist. They don't have one, maybe even. Hey, let's go ahead and do a new opener. That'd be just the basic kind of an opener we have. Now you got 3-year warranty, 3-year service membership. So you got the torsion spring, the cables and hardware, the new opener, standard opener, right? And then you're saying, well, okay, we got the torsion spring, the cable, hardware, and that. Let's do the rollers, the nylon rollers, and make sure those things glide down that track nice and easy to make it easier on that opener by doing it that. Now it's got a 4-year warranty, 4-year service membership on that. And then we say, let's just replace everything. Torsion spring, rollers, now you do the weatherproofing underneath the weather stripping on that, replace that then underneath the door. New cables, hardwares, hinges, everything gets replaced. A new opener. You even can tell people the premium op's got a 5-year warranty, 5-year service membership, and we will come out and we'll program your car into the opener for you. Anytime over the next 5 years you buy a new car, we'll go ahead and program that opener into the new car as well. Just come back and do that as part of the service membership. If light bulb burns out in that opener, we will come back and replace the light bulb for free. Those are all things that are part of the membership that you get, right? And that's the part I would say you need to sell the 5-year package of membership and all of the 5 different tasks that would be included with this thing. So the top option would be called a rejuvenation or a renovation of the whole existing garage door, all the way down to whatever the problem is right now. The bottom 2 options would just be whatever the problem is right now. So the cool part about garage doors is that the top 4 options are pretty much going to be the same. By the way, that premium option would have the garage door opener with the camera. The top 2 options go from the standard opener to the camera type opener and all that stuff for the safety and security of the family. So when the kids go home from school, you know that who's in your house. They tell the kids to come through the garage door and use the code, and this way you can know who's in the house with your kids at that point after school. That's why you have to be able to explain, why would I need a camera in my garage door opener, right? That's why, for the security and safety of your kids who are getting home from school, and instead of giving them a key that they can lose, just use the code on the garage door, and this way they can use that door and be safe and healthy when they get home. Make sense? But that's really what it looks like. So basically, you can't be afraid. Like I said, money can't be your master. You can't be like, oh my God, this is going to cost a lot of money. Nobody's going to go for that. Well, that's only in your mind that somebody wouldn't go for that. There are some people who would go for everything. Some people go for part of it. But here's the thing about it, Rob. Nobody can ever buy something from you that they didn't know existed. So if you didn't show it to them, how would they know? Make sense?
Makes great sense. I hope my customers, I have customers, I hope they're watching, or I'm going to shove this in their face, because just an hour ago, I was talking with a customer who said to me, Rob, I just have the hardest time selling them something they don't need. And I'm going, you're not selling them, you're not forcing them, but they need, but the in this case, the technician or the business owner needs to understand just what you said. They don't know that there's new technology for safety and security of their home if you don't talk about it.
Well, I think your client is a very wise person, because he's right. You can never sell anything to people that you don't believe in. And number 2, it's your job to literally tell people why they need it. So if the customer's saying, why are you trying to sell me something I don't need? The customer's right. Yeah, you haven't told me why I need it. And so that's why we need a real person as opposed to AI. So AI can't come up with that. I mean, you could probably come up with the words. Hey, go to ChatGPT and put in there and say, why do I need a camera in my garage door opener? And see what it says. It probably give you an answer that's pretty good. What's the benefit of having a camera in a garage door opener? And it probably would tell you what it is. So basically, guys, it's your job to be a real person, to communicate, to care about people enough to tell them why would it matter if we did the weather stripping on the bottom of the door? Well, because it's going to bring, you got a brand new car, and we're going to have this snow and ice and dust coming into the garage. We should be containing the garage so it's a dust-free environment, so we don't have your car get dirty and things like that. Or you're breathing the stuff. It's like one step away from every time you open that garage door, you're bringing in that stuff into your home and you're breathing it. So it is unhealthy to not have that weather stripping on the thing here. So it's a health item, that weather stripping on the bottom of the door. It's not just there to make it warmer and cooler. It's there to make sure that we don't bring in dust and contaminants and water. And it could how about this one? There's no weather stripping. Water comes on the bottom of that door, and somebody just had their knee replaced, and they slip on that water and fall on the concrete floor, and now they hurt their knee. That's something that could have prevented. It could have been a safety item because of that weather stripping on a door. So you have to connect the dots as
Yeah.
to what's the reason for all this stuff. Why would I say replace that cable? Because it's fraying. Look at the stuff falling. You can see the cables falling apart. Look at the hinges are stripped. The stuff on it stripped out. We need to get a bigger bolt in there. That's gonna bigger lag bolt. That's gonna put those hinges back in there. That's gonna make it work. Because that doesn't work out, this thing's gonna fall. And it's gonna hurt somebody. I mean, beyond the opener, if that hinge breaks apart, somebody's under that door, it could cause a tragedy in your home. Make sense? So it's your job as professionals to say a garage door can be something that's gives us security and comfort for our family, but it's also something that could kill people if we did if we didn't have it
Oh,
done the right way. Does that make sense, there, Rob?
oh yeah. And if
So
we jump back to go ahead.
good. That's basically it. It's your job to inform people of those problems and what the outcome of keeping it like it is. I would say this to people, and maybe this will help your client you're talking about there. Tell them that the garage door only fractures and comes apart on the day I'm not here. It never happens when I'm here, right? If it happened when I was here, we could fix it and make it nice and easy for you. But it
Yeah.
only breaks on the day when I leave. A couple months later, I'd get this thing fixed and put the opener in, but then the torsion spring wasn't fixed, and now the opener breaks down again. And that only happens on the day I'm not here. So I can only give you solutions for the day I'm here. And so the idea is to not just fix problems. I say this way: world-class customer service defined. Write this down, everybody. Get your pen and paper. Means to anticipate what people need and provide it before they ask you for it. And just if you don't believe me, just ask your wife. Valentine's Day comes up. Yeah, go ahead and try and buy a Valentine's Day gift on Valentine's Day. Listen, you should have waited way before Valentine's Day, and before she needed a gift, you should have bought one for her. Does that make sense?
Oh
But
yeah.
what? Your mom's birthday? Oh, you didn't think to take her out to dinner. Now she wants to go to dinner. Oh, try and find a place to go on Saturday night where my mom's. We can't. They're all booked up. Why? Because we should have anticipated my mom's birthday and booked a place where we could go to anticipate what she needs and then think about her before. So to me, the highest form of respect is to think about what people are going to need before they do. Like you think for your client because they're not thinking about the impact of a bad torsion spring. They're not thinking about having to reprogram that new car they're going to buy and having to reprogram the door opener into it. You got to think about that stuff. And those are solutions that can be sold today. Tomorrow's solutions can be sold today because today is the only day you have to interact with them. Not that there's no guarantee you'll be back here in the future. That's why your guy should offer these future solutions because he has zero idea whether he will ever be called back to this house again. So if he wants to leave
Yep.
his mark, today's the day you got to leave it, not in the future because you can't count on coming back. I'll come back and fix that stuff in the future. Says who? You're guaranteed that you got a beeline to this place. You got a camera in the place. How are you supposed to know that? You
Yeah.
only are going to be invited back if the customer does invite you back. So that's why going back to that making a friend is important, fella. But you do want to be the person who is considered a friend enough to be brought back here. Make sense? But the reason why you should offer tomorrow's service today is people are going to need it, but you're going to wait for it. So is this the kind of person? I would say just one last sample, and I'll just shut up about this. Uh, if you had a flat tire on your car, would you say that the other tires that are still inflated, like let's say you got 75,000 miles on your tires and they're half bald, would you say it's a ripoff? If you're selling people new tires, like one tire went flat and you got three tires that are still inflated. Why are we replacing the other three tires when this only has one flat tire? So what's the reason why we would replace the other three tires? Because they're bald and they're old. The same thing is the reason why we would replace all the hardware and hinges and rollers on a garage door because they're probably 40 years old or whatever. 30. I mean, garage door stuff lasts forever. That stuff, and it's like 30 years old, 25 years old, 40 years
Yeah.
old. What are you gonna do? Wait for it to? It only seizes the roller. Only seizes the day I'm not here. The hinges only fall apart the day I'm not here. The cable only snaps the day I'm not here. Make sense? So you should be saying, why are we not just offering the things that are going to go bad as opposed to waiting for them to go bad? Because that's bad service, is to make people call people 5 different times to fix the garage door. They could have got it all fixed in one trip. Make sense?
Nailed it. Nailed it. I want to just jump back to the weather stripping thing for a minute because some of us, not Joe, because Joe's in Southern California, but some of us live in winter climates here in the next 2 months, we're going to see frozen water. And where I live, it snows and melts a little bit. And then January, it's going to freeze and the snow will last till March. I'm in Salt Lake, by the way. So when you're weather stripping, when a customer's weather stripping is bad and that water is going to come in under the door and then freeze, now we have a safety hazard. And Joe mentioned, dust and debris and things that'll come in for health concerns. Yesterday, Tommy mentioned this is the biggest access for rodents and bugs to come in. So now this week, guys, when you're going to go out and visit a customer, and maybe it's just a tune-up or some maintenance thing, or maybe it's just a spring. But now you're going to be able to offer something like Joe says, you're going to resolve tomorrow's concern today while you're there. And that's just a quick and easy lever that you can pull. If you live in a winter climate, people will need to know that winter's coming, and what can that mean to your garage door? That's awesome. Thanks, Joe.
Well, on top of that, you got oil, let's say oil from the car leaks on the floor. Water on top of the oil is just going to make it extremely slippery, and that's a hazard that could cause an injury, right? Could cause a devastating injury, actually, if somebody really slips on oil. Let's say you had a knee replacement, or somebody who's got special needs or something like that, and they're trying to get out of a wheelchair and go to that. I mean, these are things you got to start connecting. That's why the connection with your client is something that's relevant to this, right, Joe? I mean, you got the handicapped access vehicle, and here you are trying to get from that wheelchair with this oil on the floor, and I can't see how we can't do this weather stripping. I'm not going to leave here until we get this done. You just tell people we got to do that because it's unsafe for you and your health and your safety. I can't see that being done like that. So you got to connect the dots as to why it's important, not just in general, but specifically to that person and what special need do they have. You got your young kids here on the floor. I hate to see the kids with the water coming in here. They slip on the floor and they hurt themselves, and then they can't go to school, and then you're taking off work. I just don't want to see that happen. That's the kind of thing that you got to explain is the problem. So there's an actual problem, and then there's a people problem. The technical problem is water coming into your garage and ice coming into your garage. The people problem is your kids slipping and hurting themselves, and then taking off school because you have to take them to the doctor, and then you have to take off work. That's the people problem. You have to connect. So you have to be good at connecting all that together, because the client's not thinking about it. They just think it's a wet floor, and we should take our chances.
Right.
That's true, but you have to show more concern than they would because you are a professional. You've seen things happen. Make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And Joe has hit so many amazing points today, just gold nuggets. I could probably spend another hour just kind of talking about things the aha moments that I've had here in the last 45 minutes. And connecting the dots is a big one because the customer is not going to connect the dots. And because we as technicians of whatever our business, we understand this stuff in a much bigger sense. And so we fail to connect the dots for them. And this is where we can make sales a lot easier when we realize we need to help them connect the dots. And so you break it down into steps that they can process. That's awesome. Well, guys, and I know Joe needs to go. He's got other things to do. So I want to just thank you again, Joe. Thanks one more time for coming on here and sharing this. And I know that the garage door industry is going to be able to benefit from listening to what you have to say. And I'm hoping some guys will check out Service MVP. I want one more time, Joe, just go ahead and put that text number up. These guys can
Sure. Well, there's two things. The lessons, the basic training lessons, are free. You can play those lessons for your team. You go to Service MVP, get the free course, and it's there. So you can get into the app, you can watch some videos and learn how to make money and do better service for free. We don't even charge you for that. And then, this garage door template, it's 626-325-0860. That's 625-325. I'm sorry, 626-325-0860. And I'll get you that garage door template we have. And
right on.
Service MVP. And by the way, if you go to Service, I'll probably just say go to Service MVP because that template will be in Service MVP for you if you go there.
There we go. Cool.
Makes sense?
Cool. It does make sense. Makes perfect sense. I hope that our listeners are going to take advantage of that. So, hey, thanks everybody for listening today. Please follow along. We have a great lineup. Joe, I think you're going to be in Florida in 10 days.
Yeah, I'll be down there at the Home Service Freedom event down in Orlando with Tommy, and so we're sponsoring that event. So we're proud sponsors. Anything Tommy Mello's involved with, we've always found it to be Tommy's heart to be so big that he can fit everybody in it. So he's trying to fit us in there in his heart too.
That's
So
awesome.
we fit our heart into what he does too. We just figure he's got the pure. If somebody embodies pure motives, Tommy Mello certainly does that, and so do you, Rob. You're definitely here to help people, and you're
Thank
not here. This isn't a moneymaker. This is just something for info giver, and that's something that in the heart I think all of us who are quote unquote experts really just want to help other people. That's in our heart. Makes sense.
True. Makes great sense. I will see you down there. With my team and I will be down there, and look forward to meeting you in person again. And guys, if you're listening, if you own a garage door company or directing a garage door company, please join the G Door Heroes group in Facebook. It's a mastermind group that we put together where you can mastermind with other owners, share your own concerns, and get helps. And we provide a lot of help like this. This will be live in the G Door Heroes group there, and you can get access to this information first. So, all right, we're going to bounce and let everybody go. Thanks again, Joe, for sharing and imparting your wisdom with us all. Have a great
Thank you
weekend.
so much, Rob. I appreciate the invitation. Everybody have a great one.
Right on. Okay. Thanks for listening to the Garage Door Heroes podcast. I'm your host, Robb Leishman. If you got value today, hit subscribe and share this with another garage door hero you know. This show is brought to you by the Legit 5 Garage Door Marketing Team, helping garage door companies grow and dominate their markets. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and keep winning.